So I had a rough day today. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It was rough. And when I have a rough day, I typically tend to expose everything that's bothering me and I try to resolve it all. Because if one thing is going wrong, I'm like, oh, let's just resolve all of the problems. Why I do that, I don't know. But I tend to do that. Because I mean, if the day's already shit, might as well make it worse, right? You know, because I'd rather just resolve all the problems and then, you know, move forward, because tomorrow will be a new day and I get to start fresh and move on. So that's what we're gonna do tomorrow. And that's where I'm at with that. But I thought I'd come on here and make a video just talking to you a little bit about my week. I was in Arizona over the weekend. I had a fantastic weekend. It was pretty amazing. And you know, I'm back home now and I'm settling into the work week, and I'm just trying to stay positive despite my shitty day. You know, if you look at my Instagram, you might think like, oh my gosh, her life is like so smiley. Right? I love smiling. One of the things about me is that, you know, I like to keep things pretty positive. I like to handle my business and then do my best to keep a smile on my face, but that does not mean by any means that things are easy. Things are tough. I have a lot going on and I get a lot of things thrown my way that are really hard to deal with, and I don't always deal with them in the best way possible, but I really try hard to do the right thing. I take my integrity as something that's really important to me, so yeah. You know, I want to share more of my story with you, and this just reminds me of something that happened a few years back. You know, when I was in high school, I used to skip school a lot. I know, right? Like, went to law school and all that, so it's kind of maybe a little surprising to hear that I was a bad student in high school. When I graduated high school, my principal sat me aside and showed me in my attendance record, and he said, Jolene, I want you to know that you missed over half of all 4 years. I did. Well, you see, I had a troubled existence at that point. So that was part of it. The other part was I really enjoyed going tanning and shopping. And also that was how I dealt with my problems. I just left. Things were pretty tough back then, and so I just took off. I don't really take off anymore. I try to deal with things head on. And so today, when I was in the heart of dealing with some pretty tough things, I tried to deal with most of them head on as much as I could. But, you know, wasn't able to resolve everything. But, you know, going back to high school and all of that, man, when I think about those times, I think about what a mess I was. And the reason I tell you that story is just so you know that, you know, wherever you're at, it might be temporary, and it's not necessarily going to foreshadow where you end up. I didn't have perfect grades back then. I didn't have a perfect image. I didn't have a perfect anything. I didn't have a perfect boyfriend. I didn't have, gosh, anything really to be bragging about. Didn't have a perfect car. Didn't have perfect hair. So many things about my life were not perfect. Far from it. But, you know, things definitely are not perfect now, but things are better, you know. And I remember I was in a photography class, and that was one of my favorite classes. I used to skip my other classes to sometimes go to photography, just to go in the lab and work, because I love photography so much. And my photography teacher, Mr., well, I shouldn't say his name, but he didn't like me very much. He always would say that I was gonna end up being nothing. I liked him still though. I don't know why, but he used to like tease me and say, "You're gonna end up being nothing. You gotta go to class. You can't be in here." But he'd be like, "Get out of my class. You gotta go to your other classes." But sometimes when I was having a really hard day, I would just go to the photography studio and be in the dark room, and I would just work. And I would zone out, and I would try to get an image to be perfect. And I would just focus on that image, and that would really just clear my mind, you know. And, you know, from an early age, I discovered that working really hard helped me to refocus my energy on something more positive. And so that's one of the things I do now. So when I'm having a really tough day, I will just focus on work, and it helps me. So some people use the gym, some people clean, some people work, some people write, but you've got to find your outlet. So that's what I mean when I say change the channel. There's definitely different ways to change the channel, but when I say change the channel, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I had a really rough day today, and I wanted to just get on here and tell you about some of my rough times and what I've done in the past. And what I'm doing right now is changing the channel. So with that, I invite you to change the channel. Thank you for watching. My name is Jolene, and this is Boardroom Blonde.